Chapter 3. Nana Nadir Khan, my maternal grandfather. Hordes of armies came and went through the mountain passes, tempering and honing the defense mechanisms of the Khans over the centuries. And then came the British, swiftly expanding their empire from horizon to horizon. They came with their strictly regimented troops, dressed in fine uniforms, equipped with the latest technology of that period and strategies that had hastened their conquest elsewhere. Here they met a people who were as rugged as the rocks of the region, fiercely loyal to their tribe and uniquely unafraid of death. They melted into the mountains and became, and also were, so much a part of the landscape that engaging them in warfare in the manner the British were accustomed to resulted in dismal failure. Unable to defeat or subdue the Pathans, they bribed them with arms, praised their valor, and with the promise of satisfying their warrior spirit, enticed them into joining the British army. One such ploy was used to entice my Nana, my maternal grandfather, Nadir Khan. It was spring in the Kagan Valley, and Nadir Khan felt the sunshine warm on his back as he leapt onto his horse and joined the other young men in a small arena they had created for themselves. Here they demonstrated to each other their skills in horsemanship and their expertise in a particular feat by individually galloping around in a circle midst cheers from the others. A British officer stood on the sidelines watching from a safe distance as the dust and stones of the rough ground sprayed up and spun out from their rapid and swift maneuvers. He was initially impressed and then amazed when he saw Nadir Khan ride into the circle, and while his horse retained a steady gallop, he slipped off his horse and hung under its belly, then pulled himself around and onto its back. Next, he lightly lifted himself so that he stood upright on the horse as it continued galloping around in a circle. As Nadir descended off his horse and holding its reins walked past, the officer noted the straight back, the firm chin, and sharply chiseled features, and thought that here was a young man in better physical shape than any of the soldiers in his army, who had been trained regularly to keep fit. Tuzwaniye aur takra hamye wale pu fauj ke nu barti kege. In other words, you are young and strong. Why do you not enlist in the army? Nadir turned with a twinkle in his eyes. The officer continued, I will give you the best horse, a rifle, a smart uniform, and a regular salary. You will be put in charge of training my soldiers, he said. It didn't take my grandfather long to make up his mind. He was soon put in charge of teaching gymnastics and horse riding skills to the soldiers of the British Army in the northwest frontier, and then, as the colonial empire extended further east, beyond India, he was transferred to Burma. A few years later, when the British had a firm foothold there, he was given the option of settling in Rangoon or in the southern Shan states. My grandfather, of course, chose the latter and settled in the scenic hill station of Kalore, which reminded him of home. Chapter 4. The only means of transport in the region at first was by bullock cart or horse. Many years later, a railway linked Kalore to Rangoon, which was then the capital of Burma. The first travelers on those early coaches would have been on trains that left Rangoon and crossed the flat alluvial plains of the Irrawaddy Delta with its rice paddies dotted with toddy palms before reaching the mountains of the southern Shan states. Then, as now, the dark silhouette of the Shan Plateau would have risen sharply before them, with the railway track zigzagging through the foothills and increasing steadily in gradient, cutting through forests of evergreen pines with splashes of purple jacaranda, yellow acacia, and bright orange blossoms of flame of the forest. In the crevices between the hills, where there chanced to be a small flat base, crops of mustard would have added a splash of yellow. Chugging along with its rhythmic beat, the train would have labored upward, its windows open to the scent of pine and flowers. And still today, the hills lie soft and curved, with a rich blanket of vegetation thrown over them. In ages gone by, some giant river flowed through and gently scooped out hollows, rounded hillocks, deepened valleys, and rolled out miniature plains. Nestled in the midst of this less rugged tail end of the Himalayas is the town of Kalor, the place where Nadir Khan chose a site for a dwelling. Surrounded by hills, every path seems to lead either up a hill or down into a valley. If you stood in the center of the town, stretched out your arms and did a pirouette, your fingertips would continually brush against a hill. Pagoda Hill, Kingswood Hill, Convent Hill, Railway Hill, and Mylone Town, the hill encircled by Circular Road. The only road in Kalor that didn't rise up a hill was the short stretch a little less than a mile from the marketplace to the railway station.